Hey, 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 yeah.
Hey everybody, it's Peg Leg Craig. Welcome to another week. Uh, I had intended to do a couple of videos earlier in the week, but I on the missing children in Virginia, but I wasn't well. I actually ended up going to the hospital, and everything turned out okay. But I still have some kind of a problem we can't find. But anyway, that's really not relevant. Tonight, I am going to talk to you about the missing kids. But right now, I've got a subject a little more near and dear to my heart. Now, I keep hearing about everybody talking about how MAGA is separating, is falling apart. The coalition is crumbling because of this influencer and that influencer. And tonight, I want to ask you something. Are you a member of a cult? Have we become clannish and cultish? Are we so into our influencers that we have to start attacking everybody else under the sun in order to make our points? Because honestly, I think we're better than that. I certainly don't see any reason why we should be engaging in this type of behavior. It's unbecoming, it's stupid, and it makes no sense. And these people right now, I see a certain group of people that are trying to create strife. Now people say, well, why don't you ever mention any names? Geez, you dance around it, you hint at this and you hint at that, but you don't say names. Well, it's not that I don't want the smoke. It's that I don't think that that's really the important way to go about it. Because you in your own mind now, all right, if somebody says they're a fan of Stalin and that their birthday is a special day for them and that they remember that birthday because it's important to them, well, you've already got your answer. I mean, we're supposed to be Christians here. I deal with a Christian audience only. Well, I mean, hopefully Christian curious too. But if you want to be a good Christian, I want you to tell me how you're going to explain on the white throne judgment that you stuck behind somebody who approved of Stalin's work. Because Stalin is neither MAGA, he's not a conservative, he was a tyrant and a communist at that. So if someone who's conservative is going to tell you that they are a fan of a Joseph Stalin, what are you supposed to make of that? And better yet, if you defend them against other people and their views, how are you going to explain that on the white throne judgment to Jesus? I really want to know what you think in your mind you're going to say to Jesus Christ to say that I defended this guy, even though he's a Stalinite and this and that. I defended this one because they're creating, uh, shall we say, strife amongst the the people that I'm supposed to coalesce with. Christians have no place else to go but MAGA. We can't be in the establishment of Republicans. That's a dangerous place for us because the establishment Republicans are your war hawks and your neocons and all the lesser degrees of Republicans. The lowest grade, so to speak. And this is what we voted for Trump for, was to get away from these people. And here we are crawling into bed with them. I don't really understand it. I mean, I try to get my news from as many sources as is possible. When Tucker Carlson has an important piece of news that nobody else has, or an interview that nobody else has, then I'm going to pay attention to that. But I'm not a Tucker fan. You know what I mean? I don't have to back his cult. Now, if something happens in that interview where I agree with him, I can call it, I will defend that. I will defend the principle, not necessarily the man. I will defend him doing it, but not necessarily the man. The same thing goes with all the other names. Okay. So instead of thinking in terms of I'm on this person's team and I'm on that person's team, as I've made this reference before, that was the Howard Stern days when he was still on terrestrial radio. And we were Howard Stern's team because he was so different than anybody else. And he was breaking down all the mystiques of the establishments that we've known all our lives. And he actually showed us, he peeled the onion and under the veil, he showed us how ugly some celebrities can be, how horrible some are, how really cool some are, you know. So back then, and in that context, it seemed like a pretty good idea. But at the same time, I do believe that was the beginning of us becoming cultish towards our personalities, and especially people on the right. Now we may back somebody, we may believe in somebody, but honestly, trust no man because they will always let you down. Okay. And that no woman either, for that matter, if you want to gender them. But here's what I want you to think about when you think about defending somebody who believes in strife, somebody who's creating strife. Because to me, it almost seems like, it's on purpose. Proverbs 29:22. An angry man stirreth up strife, and a furious man aboundeth in transgression. So if they're running to make a fight, why are you taking the bait? I mean, do you really believe in these people to such a degree that you have to defend them no matter what they say or what they do? I mean, I'm a big fan of President Trump, but at the same time, when President Trump does something that I don't like, I will call him out. It's the only way to be a good Christian. And my morality comes based on the Bible. Okay. This week, I've decided to step down from anything calling myself a man of the cloth anymore because I just don't feel that I'm eminently qualified to do that. I've kind of let some people down and I haven't done a very good job of it. So from now on, I'm one Christian to another. And as a Christian, these are the things that concern me. An angry man stirreth up strife, and a furious man aboundeth in transgression. But let's go a little bit deeper. Let's go even further with this to another verse that I'm very partial to. Proverbs 22:10. Cast out the scorner, and contention shall go out. Yea, strife and reproach shall cease. Let me do that one more time. Cast out the scorner, and contention shall go out. Yea, strife and reproach shall cease. So if you don't want to fight in MAGA, then get rid of the people in your own. I'm not saying that you have to, get rid of them. But I'm saying that you don't have to back them no matter what, just because they've said a few things that you like. One of the things that I find most horrible about MAGA is we become a pack of whores. I don't like to use that term, but it's the only term that I can use to describe it. We become a pack of whores. Because as soon as somebody says something that we like, we try to find reasons to like them, to defend them, to believe in them no matter what. And it's cheapening your relationship with Jesus Christ when you do that. Uh-oh. Okay, we're back. Okay. So let's not cheapen our relationship with Jesus Christ because let us remember this too. If we're trying to get something accomplished, then we have to think of, I'd say, Mark 3:24. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. Well, right now, MAGA is the only place for Christians to get Christian justice. We're not going to get it from the conventional Republicans. We're certainly not going to get it from the Democrats. So what we have to do is we have to coalesce with one another. And when people say things like, make a joke about, Sharia law, you know what that means? It's submission. Well, I like submission. Submission to God? Yeah. No, that's not what Sharia law is. I mean, it is submission to their belief system, but it is not our submission to our God as a Christian. And Tucker professes to be a Christian, although he mentioned only reading the Bible, what, all the way through about 2 years ago. So I'm not sure that he's qualified to make those judgments. I mean, when you say that Nicolas Maduro is not a bad guy because he's very conservative socially, well, I don't understand what you mean, because what he's putting that country through is ridiculous. So if we listen to him and we listen to the people that he has on, and we allow them to dictate the course of what we believe in without fact checking it against the Bible, then we have fallen short of our obligation to God. And that's something that I'm trying to help us not do. I mean, I've done it myself maybe sometimes, I've defended the wrong person, but I don't think when they say something I don't like, I'm not a hypocrite. I will say I don't like that they said that. But when they start to say a number of things back to back to back to back, well, at that point, that person kind of loses their credibility with me. And I don't want you to be in a position that that happens to you. Let's remember, let's say Proverbs 26:20. Where no wood is, there the fire goeth out. So where there is no table bearer, the strife ceaseth. I mean, you can't get any clearer than that. When they start to stir up strife, we ignore them. I'm not saying anyone should be canceled. I'm not saying anything should happen to anyone in a bad way. What I'm saying is it's our responsibility as Christians to turn our backs on those people at that point. Now, again, somewhere down the road, maybe they'll learn their lesson, or they'll change the way that they do things or think about things, and we'll be okay again. We can bring them back in. As I had mentioned 2 weeks ago, Glenn Beck, he started out as this incredible never Trumper. I mean, even sticking his face in a bowl of Cheetos just to make an orange face. And somehow he thought that was ridiculing Trump when all he did was make himself a lolcow. It all stemmed from a situation where he was at an airport. He's talking to a bunch of people. He's got the crowd around him. He feels really good. Suddenly, Trump's plane lands. He arrives. He comes through the tarmac, and the whole crowd leaves Beck and runs over to Trump. I think that hurt him. I think that hurt his pride. And pride goeth before the fall. So everyone should be very, very careful about pride. But again, where no wood is, there the fire goeth out. So if you're the wood in this case, and please spare me the puns. I get it. But you're the wood in this case, and there the fire goeth out. So there is no table bearer. Strife ceaseth. If we turn our back to it, we just ignore it. It doesn't matter how big his audience is. It doesn't matter how many people are willing to defend him online, or how many people will get in your timeline if you say anything against them. That's not relevant. What is relevant is your relationship with Jesus Christ, and how important it is to all of us to be good children of Christ. So let's try and remember that. But I also want to share another Bible verse that I like on this. And that's Proverbs 29:22. An angry man stirreth up strife, and a furious man aboundeth in transgression. So once they stir up strife, you can see that they start to abound in. You'll see a certain arrogance take place in them that, they're going to be intractable in their position. And I don't care what you say about it. Well, okay, that goes two ways because now we don't care what you have to say. So no more turning on this guy for a while, or unless they have something that nobody else has that's critical to us as MAGA and as Christians first and then as MAGA, because these people are just being allowed to stir up the pot and we're getting nothing good coming of it. I think a lot of this strife that we have had, may have hurt us in the elections. Although I have to say that I'm extremely, extremely disappointed in our performance. Now, a lot of people say, well, not enough conservatives turned out and not enough, this. That's a bunch of nonsense because Jack Ciattarelli got 100,000 more votes than uh, the last time a Republican ran against Murphy. And Murphy had to pull out a Rolodex of votes. Sudden 14,000 arrived at the last minute on election night. It was very, very strange. Again, I'm not saying there was any kind of fraud. There may have been, there may not have been, but it's a very curious thing. So again, Ciattarelli outperformed the last time a Republican ran by 100,000 votes. It wasn't that we didn't turn out. It's what Rich Barris referred to, and that is we're not waking the independents up. All right. The Democrat independents, the populist Democrats, they showed up. They managed to energize that base and bring them out. And that's why we're going to be under the rule of, oh God, Mikey Sherrill. And honestly, I pray for New Jersey every day because she's all into sanctuary stuff. She's all into having trans in our girls' bathrooms and competing in our sports. And again, I mentioned this last week. How are you going to take a girl, a young lady who has worked all her life to achieve athletic excellence in her field, and she's fought all these years, she's won all these championships to get to a certain place, and then some guy who decides he wasn't good enough for the man's team puts on a dress, takes a little bit of estrogen, and then just wallops them. Now, again, it's been admitted before. Serena Williams admitted that if she were compared against the men, her ranking would be in the low hundreds. It would be like 100 and something. So, I mean, that'll tell you right there the difference between men and women. If you've seen the girls, the USA girls soccer team, uh, when in the Megan Rapinoe days, they got beat by a high school team and they got beat by a bunch of seniors. And some of these guys looked like they were carrying bread in their baskets when they were playing the game. So they weren't even in that great a shape. So that it tells you that this is not the right thing and this is not what God wants for us. I know it's not. It's an abomination unto God. So if you're a supporter of trans sports, I want you to explain how you're going to explain that on the white throne judgment. Let's go to James 3:14, 3:16. But if ye have bitter envying and strife in your hearts, glory not, and lie not against the truth. The wisdom descendeth not from above, but is earthly, sensual, devilish. For where envying and strife, confusion, and every evil work. Well, there you have it. Let's not be where God gives us clarity. He's not the God of confusion. He is the God of a very clear message to us. Keep his law, keep his word, stay within the word. And if we're creating strife over influencers and not over the actual issues themselves, then we're not keeping in his law. Now, again, my politics is all about my Christianity. I don't care about a lot of stuff. I care about the best deal for Christians possible. Donald Trump was by far the best deal for Christians possible. You think if Kamala won, we wouldn't be having, problems with our churches? Of course we would. So it's important that we remember that, keep that in perspective, and keep Jesus and God in everything that we do. Pray to the Holy Spirit for wisdom, for guidance, for understanding, because you don't want to come against them on the white throne and have to explain why you defended this person and that person and every other person against it. You don't want to do that, especially when they have these incredibly shocking views. They're doing nothing but creating strife. There's ways you could do what they're doing without creating strife amongst MAGA. Some would say that it is possibly their plan. That's what they want to do. They want to break MAGA up and try and take control of it, just like I see a lot of elements trying to destroy TPUSA. Take that for what it's worth. Look, Charlie Kirk was a great man, not just a good man, he was a great man. He went on campuses and he brought Jesus with him and he brought the law with him, the Bible. And he articulated his points better than anybody has ever done. Now, I, s- I don't understand why people would follow somebody who wants to just stir up the pot, wants to just ridicule. I don't know, ridicule isn't a bad thing necessarily when you ridicule a circumstance, but ridicule can be a bad thing when you start ridiculing people. You can call them out factually for what they did wrong, but if you go so far as to call them a name, you've already sinned. It's something you have to repent for. So just remember that. And I remember it because a couple times on the show I've referred to people as scumbags. And it's one of the reasons why I defrocked myself at this point. I'm just not qualified to call myself a man of the cloth. I failed those that I try to help. So don't fail Jesus because he is our master. God is our master. He is who we serve. He is who we're here for. His works are supposed to be our works, even though our works only amount to a filthy rag in comparison to him. It is walking in Jesus' steps that is the important journey for a Christian. And keep God in everything that you do. When you have difficult decisions to make, pray over them. Take the time and pray over them. You know, remember the trees in the Lord of the Rings. Nothing is worth doing unless it is discussed and discussed fully. That's a bad paraphrasing of it. I know the line was very different, but they talked for a long time before they were willing to join the battle. And that's how you need to be with prayer. Before you're willing to join yourself into the battle, you need the wisdom of Christ. You need the wisdom of God. You need the wisdom of the Bible to put you in the right place to be a warrior for God's word, to use your sword as the tongue against the forces that stand against you. Please just remember that. All right, I'm going to get off this influencer thing because it really kind of, I think it diminishes us as people. Now, 2 times this week, I had attempted to make a video updating the situation in Virginia. And it's a good thing probably I didn't do it because I would just look like I was in hyperbole because it turned out that uh, from last month, we had 84 kids missing in Virginia. And luckily this month, we have, of the 84, roughly 32 have come back. So that's still 52 kids that we're out there up against. Okay, I'm not going to read all the names again, but here's where the problem exacerbates itself. All right. One thing is we got to start being able to get pictures of every kid that's missing. What are we looking for if we don't have a picture? I mean, what are we going to do? Run around Henrico County, Virginia, going, Cabin Price? How are we supposed to help find them? This is the Center for Missing and Exploited Children. If you're ever going to donate to something, donate to them because they do the work and they make sure that these lists get updated. So if you see a face up there or something like this, they haven't been found yet. And it's an inordinate amount of kids that are missing. If you look at, uh, 84 it started at, and okay, so we have what, 52 back. I mean, we still have 52 missing. That's still an inordinate amount. I've checked every state. None of them come close to this. And I get it that a lot of them do run away. And a lot of them, are into, drugs. And some of them become prostitutes. And they're just out there on the streets. And you could probably tell by some of the pictures that some of these kids are troubled. But that doesn't devalue them in any way. And if they have a drug problem, that also doesn't devalue them in any way, unless you have a very hardened heart towards the mercy of people, towards people. I'm sorry. I didn't even say that right, but I think you get the idea. Now, what I do want to update on this is that since the first of the month, another 29 kids have gone missing in Virginia. I kid you not. All right, so we're looking at what is it? What is today? The 9th. So we're looking at 9 days. We have 29 kids missing. That's an outrageous number. And I will go through the names, but not tonight. I will do that on a separate show. But I just want you to get a look. You know what? I'm just going to do it tonight. Let's just be done with it. David Demagowski, missing since November 6, 2025, missing from Virginia Beach, Virginia, age now 15. Jaslyn Williams, missing since November 6, 2025, missing from Hampton, Virginia, age now 15. Hadley Wilson, missing since November 6, 2025, missing from Fairfax County, Virginia, age now 16. Leonard Simmons, missing since November 5th, 2025, missing from Richmond City, Virginia, age now 16. Jaden Patterson, missing since November 5th, 2025, missing from Chesterfield County, Virginia, age now 15. Harmony Blanchard, missing since November 5th, 2025, missing from Chesapeake, Virginia, age now 17. Ryan Little Jr., missing since November 5th, 2025, missing from Norfolk, Virginia, age now 17. Kamari Campbell, missing since November 5th, 2025, missing from Norfolk, Virginia, age now 14. Akaya Wilson Corbin, missing since November 5th, 2025, missing from Henrico County, Virginia, age now 14. Adrian Riley, missing since November 5th, 2025, missing from Virginia Beach, Virginia, age now 15. Ali Mahani, missing since November 5th, 2025, missing from Frederick County, Virginia, age now 15. David Wright, missing since November 5th, 2025, missing from Frederick County, Virginia, age now 15. Ali Mahali. Okay, that's a duplicate. Nadia Murray, missing since November 4, 2025, missing from Norfolk, Virginia, age now 15. Dakira Skinner, missing since November 4, 2025, missing from Portsmouth, Virginia, age now 16. Hunter Chisler, Jr., missing since November 4th, 2025, missing from Norfolk, Virginia, age now 15. Jaden James, missing since November 4th, 2025, missing from Frederick County, Virginia, age now 14. Minaya Muhammad, missing since November 4th, 2025, missing from Virginia Beach, Virginia, age now 17. Travis Hicks Jr., missing since November 4th, 2025, missing from Portsmouth, Virginia, age now 17. Ayana Mondesir, missing since November 4th, 2025, missing from Chesapeake, Virginia, age now 16. Damani Tynes Bell, Damani Tynes Bell, I hope I said that right, missing since November 4th, 2025, missing from Newport News, Virginia, age now 12. That's scary. Julian Roscoe, missing since November 4th, 2025, missing from Newport News, Virginia, age now 16. Tien Tran, missing since November 3rd, 2025, missing from Fairfax County, Virginia, age now 16. I believe that same name was on last month's, so this was probably a second filing by someone else. Naya Dameron, missing since November 3rd, 2025, missing from Chesapeake, Virginia, age now 15. Allison Padilla Donier, missing since November 3rd, 2025, missing from Fairfax County, Virginia, age now 15. Mariela Martinez, missing since November 3rd, 2025, missing from Fairfax County, Virginia, age now 17. Lamaria Thweet, I hope so. Missing since November 2nd, 2025, missing from Richmond, Virginia, age now 15. Amir Schoolfield, missing since November 2nd, 2025, missing from Portsmouth, Virginia, age now 16. And Michael Garcia, missing since November 1st, 2025, missing from Chesterfield County, Virginia, age now 17. So that's 28 actually that are missing. But if you notice, we'll go back to page 1 real quick. That's only since the 6th, really. I guess they haven't gotten any new reports. Hopefully, that means that no one else has been missing since then. But I suspect if when I check this again tomorrow, or if I check it again later, it will say otherwise. So I really hope that somehow the word can get out about this because it gets very, very tiring doing this and seeing nobody picking up the story. Again, I know that I am small potatoes and that I barely matter, but this feels very much like the movie Weapons to me. All these kids go disappearing. And where are they? It's a mystery. I almost can see some of the pictures of them just running with their arms out like the kids in Weapons did. It just, to me, is utterly frightening that so many kids can be missing from a state like Virginia. Now, for contrast, again, I've made this point numerous times. New Jersey is roughly the same size and roughly the same population. A little bit of difference on both, obviously, but New Jersey had 5 last month, and a couple of them were found. So, and I've looked at a lot of other states too, and nothing even comes close, even larger states like California and Texas. So that'll tell you that there's something going on in Virginia. I mean, I don't know what. I don't want to attribute it to, you know, I don't know, lizard people or whatever else. But I mean, I do know there are a lot of good-willed conspiracy theorists who will go out there and will look into this type of thing and we'll see this pattern because if you look in Virginia, there is always an inordinate amount of children missing every month. And again, okay, it started out as 84 last month, and it's still 52 this month. So, okay, so 30 some kids came home. Well, where are those other 52? And right now we have 28 missing from this month. To add to that, when I was originally going to do the video, it was over 100. But thankfully, some did manage to come home. But again, it is a problem that is indigenous to Virginia. And I still really haven't branched out and checked like Maryland. I have checked, and there's not a substantial number, but there's like 8 or 9 missing from there and neighboring states. So can't people look into this? I mean, can we get this to you want an influencer to do some good instead of let's argue about this guy breaking up MAGA and that guy breaking up MAGA? Why don't we, say to these influencers, hey, do you know about this? What are we doing about this? Let's do something good with our platforms. Why are all these kids missing? They're all missing from Virginia, one state. Last month it was up to 84, and then it went down again to 52. But that's still 52 kids that are missing. And this month, right? We established one was a duplicate, so we have 28 kids missing. Where are all the autists? Where are all the people looking into this? Where are all the people making it their problem to try and find this? Where are the Pizzagate people? Where are the conspiracy theorist people? Where are you? Why am I the only one doing this? I have this tiny little flea market platform, and I am thankful to the people on Rumble. I am thankful to the people on Getter, and I'm thankful to anyone else who watches me anywhere. But I'm not in this for money. I'm not in this for fame. I'm only doing what I can as a Christian to do the best work I can as a Christian. And there is nothing more important than our children. Somebody has to do something, somebody a lot more powerful than me. So let's leave it at that and let's move on. If the people that just joined us, thank you. Thank you for joining us. If you want the list of the ones that are missing from this month, all you have to do is just wind backwards. I just read it off, but I thank you for joining us. Now, the next thing I want to get to is, a little bit of housekeeping here. Well, not housekeeping, but I want us to remember one thing. When Charlie Kirk died, we all were on a mission. We were all of a collective mind that we were going to do Charlie's work, that we were going to finish Charlie's work for him, that we were going to make it even bigger as a result. We've got to get back to basics and carry on Charlie's mission. Charlie Kirk was a good and decent human being who went out there and tried to convince young people that Jesus is the way and that conservatism is the way, in that order. And he was a very important figure, and that's why they eliminated him. I have seen him do those college debates. I've seen so many videos of it and so many more after he was killed, after he was assassinated. And he never ever seemed to be on the wrong end of the debate. He never seemed to lose a debate. So to me, that's a champion. And that's someone that we should be standing behind. And we should forget about arguing for this influencer and arguing for that influencer. And, ooh, this one said this. Oh, and that one said that about that one. That's child's, that's childish. That's just silly. That's kid stuff. We're better than that. Let's be stronger than that. Let's do Charlie's work. Let's complete Charlie's work. Let's not forget the candlelight vigils. Let's not forget the long-term prayers. Let's not forget the church services and the monuments that we've built to him. All right. Charlie Kirk was an important figure. Now he's gone to the next life and he leaves us behind to continue his work. And he was so good at it. We need all of us working together to complete his work. Please let's not forget that. Please let's not lose sight of it. Because I feel like now we're in this, crazy MAGA war stuff that none of us really want. And I don't think it is what we think it is, but we don't need to help people like this doing what they do. Okay? Because when we start creating strife within the MAGA movement, this is who we're helping. We're helping these people that really need our prayers and really need help from Jesus Christ. And I was about to say, call him a name. I know. And we're not supposed to do that. So I pray for these people every day because there's sickness. There's no such thing as loving an assassination unless you are an ill-minded individual. And the way that you get to be an ill-minded individual is you're so far away, so far detached from Christianity that you you've become possessed, you've become devilish. And that to me is you know, a tragedy. I pray for all of these people because this is what they're, a couple of them look like they could be parents. And this is what the message is that they're giving their kids to hate like this. There's no place for hate in America. There's no place for hate in MAGA. We have to be the weapon against this. We don't have to go and pick fist fights with them or, do anything on a violent scale. What we have to do is we have to go out there and we have to win the argument. And we're not doing that right now. We're falling very short of it. And that's why we're losing elections. And that's why we're not capturing hearts and minds. Remember, I think of conservatism as the gateway to Christianity for people who are Christian curious. Because once you bring them into the conservative movement and then you explain to them where your conservative values come from, then they're not going to be these people. They're not going to turn into these people, and they're going to do their best to scorn and ridicule this type of behavior and make these people ashamed. One of the biggest problems we have in America is there is no more shame. You listen to people in modern dating right now, right? And they're talking about, well, a man has to make $1 million or else he's just not worth my time. What happened to love? What happened to companionship? What happened to closeness? And men, you're just the same. Oh, she's not giving it up. I got no interest. Well, explain that to Jesus Christ. I mean, a lot of those guys actually will profess to be Christians, and yet, they're in a massive fornication duel. So let's get back to basics. Let's start getting out there and making our voices known as Christians. Let's start talking to people like that and telling them that, man, that's just sick. That's just weird. We don't want to get involved with that. You've got it all wrong. And you're going to be old and unhappy. And we're seeing a lot of that now. I don't know what they call them, but people that have lived this kind of life where they're, wild dating and their body counts are over 100 and everything else. What are they doing? What are they coming up with? They're coming up as older now, and now it's harder for them to get married. Now they actually do want the things that they should have wanted when they were younger, marriage and children. And some of them have children, but they got 3 to 6 baby daddies. And that's not picked to any particular race because there's as many white people doing it as there are black people doing it. So it's just a mindset. It's a culture that we as Christians have to break into and we have to destroy. And the only way to destroy it is with the sword, the tongue, God's word. And if Mr. Chiclet Teeth has to remind you to do that, then we're all in really trouble, real trouble. All right. Okay, let's move on to another topic. And I want to get to this because there are certain people that, well, let me do this first. I want to remind people that you can't change a person, but God can. So you pray for them. Like all those people wearing the Charlie Kirk shirts, you pray for them. And you may think that, oh, well, how is my prayer going to upset their mindset? You would be surprised the power of prayer. Your prayers have helped me immensely. I've had a lot of health emergencies lately, and people have been praying for me, and I thank them for every individual prayer, and I love them for it. And I have come through every one of these things, and pretty soon I'm going to be back to normal. I'm going to be back out there and being the real me again. So I thank you for your prayers, and I pray for you. And anyone who has a prayer request to send to me they're worried about, I'm happy to do it. But let's move on to another topic, and that is people that we're forgetting about. We don't want to ever forget these people. Irana Zarathustra. Now, a lot of people keep showing that picture of her on the train with that look of fear on her face, the blood on her leg, and all this other stuff. And that to me was absolutely frightening. And I think that it's time that we put that picture away and we remember the beautiful woman that we lost here, a woman that came here to try and find peace from a war-torn country and who only found her demise at the hands of basically a person who is completely out of their mind. But moreover, and more important, a person who has been let go from jail on their own recognizance so many times that it was inevitable that they would do this. Okay, another person I don't want us to forget, and I find this one really important, is my beloved Tina Peters. All right. Tina Peters is guilty of catching Jenna Griswold and the Democrats cheating. Whatever federal leverage it takes, free Tina Peters. Well, I don't know how we would use federal leverage to do that, but I do know that if enough people start raising a stink towards Colorado about this, if we can get companies that won't do conventions or team building exercises in Colorado anymore until Tina Peters is finished. We have to start adapting some of the tactics of the left. I'm not saying the evil ones or the crooked ones or the weird ones, but some of them are very good. And I don't necessarily believe in boycotts. I just believe in, hey, look, I spend my money in Colorado every year. So this year we're not going to spend money in Colorado anymore. And what's wrong with that? And if enough people do it, and you explain why, because of Tina Peters. And if enough people do it, then you've got something. All right. My next topic is, again, I've been seeing this. I debunked this last week, and I've been seeing this all week, and it's really, getting me angry because I think some people do it on purpose just to make us look stupid. This never happened. He was not disbarred. Okay. There's been some movement in the court case. I believe he's been removed from Trump's case, but that's about it. He has not been disbarred. So please, if you're posting that, just stop. All right. Now, again, as Christians, we got to remember this one thing: surroundings do matter. If you surround yourself with the wrong people and the wrong minded people, then where do you think you're going to be? You're going to be spoiled like that person in the middle. All right. I'm using the oranges as a metaphor for people, if that's okay. All right. I'm about to close out here, so I'm just going to go to something that I want everybody to think about. A lot of people are burdened very heavily these days. There's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot of things that scare people. And I want people to remember this. I mean, I don't believe in using other people's prayers, but I mean your own version of this in your own mind with your own details. Lord, please help me to release what I wasn't meant to carry. Help me to find a little peace, because that's the only peace you're going to find in this world from our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And if you're not looking to him for that peace, then you will never find it anywhere. There is nowhere else. He is the peace broker. He's the only peace broker. Jesus Christ. Remember that. Pray to God in Jesus' name. All right. We're getting really ready to close out the show here. So I do want to do one more thing about Christianity. And I want to draw people's attention to this because it seems to be going under the radar too much. And since I have a few people tuning in today, I'm very happy about Christian persecution in Nigeria. Now, I want to preface this with, I do not want us to send troops in there. I know Trump made a threat, but I think he was rattling the saber to try and light a fire under the president's butt over there. So I hope that's what it was. But again, I want you to see the tragedy, because you say it's hard to be a Christian in America. Imagine being a Christian here. Every time you show up at church, you could be murdered just for being a Christian, just for loving Jesus Christ. These people put it all on the line for their love of Jesus Christ. So anything that you're facing is small potatoes by comparison. And if we don't stop the left from becoming what they are, and we don't stop the Sharia people from instituting Sharia, this is what's going to happen. Because what are these Christians being killed by? Muslims. 18,000 churches burned since 2009, 52,000 killed since 2009, 5 million displaced since 2009. This year alone, 7,000 plus have been killed. I believe there was another mass killing this week. So if we're not praying for them, then we have a real problem, because someday this may come to us. So if you don't think in your heart that you need to have mercy and that you need to pray for these people and that you need to pray hard for them, then remember, when it comes to visit you, who's going to pray for you? All right. Let's close this out with a Bible verse, a few Bible verses, because it's a reminder to us of who we are as Christians. Proverbs 25:26. A righteous man falling down before the wicked is as a troubled fountain and a corrupt spring. Proverbs 16:8. Better is a little with righteousness than great revenues without right. Matthew 5:6. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. So remember, pray for righteousness, believe in God, read your Bible, pray. Pray all the time. If you have to pray inside your head at work, pray anywhere, everywhere. Because the more places that are filled in the air with prayer, the better off we are all going to be. So I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to say, look, pray for me because I'm praying for you. And let's all together pray for these missing children in Virginia. Let's, we're over 80 something right now. We were over 100. Thankfully, 30 or so, or 32 or so have made it back. But pray for them. Pray for Virginia. Pray we find out. Pray for some answers to this. Pray that the people involved in this, if it's nefarious on any level, that their hearts soften and that Virginia gets returned to being a normal, I believe it's a commonwealth, actually. The state of Virginia gets, these children all make their way home because there's a bunch of people that love them and miss them. Everyone has someone who loves them and misses them when they go missing. So please, let's remember that. And again, walk with God, stay in his word. Every day, as Pastor Murray says, and he'll be closing out the show in a minute, as Pastor Murray says, every day in his word is a good day because Jesus, Yeshua, is the living word. So pray for me. I'm praying for you. Pray for America. Pray for the places under fire. And pray for the Nigerians. And don't forget to pray for yourself and your family. I mean, obviously you do. And pray for the people that are so hateful. Instead of hating them, pray the hate away. Good night.
And I And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. I'll identify these people, who they are, and what they're doing, because one of them gets a deadly wound. And the beast which I saw was likened to a leopard. That's one that changes spots. That's your Kenite. And his feet were as the feet of a bear. That'll take in Roosh. And his mouth is the mouth of a lion, his tearing, and the dragon, who? Satan himself, the old dragon, gave him his power and his seat. What again does this word seat mean? Throne. The dragon himself gives the one world government its throne. That means its power. You might wonder, many people would say, well, how could all these nations from Tahiti, from Bahrain to Egypt, Syria, Jordan, Yemen, how could all of them at the same time rise up They got something in common, my friend. And we're talking about somebody that's going to give it a throne, not just a seat, a throne. What happens then? Verse 3, and I saw one of the heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. Who healed that wound? Well, read the next verse. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him? The one world government, you can't make war with that. Why? There's no government to go against it. It consumes the world, but not God's elect. This is where you got to understand, and this is why you got to have strong faith, is to know as long as God is with you, who can be against you? Nobody. As long as you are armed with the sword of the Lord, the truth, and you understand what's happening in the world, God protects you. You and He make a majority, and you can count on that. You can believe it.